It's true. It's true. We human beings, we have a tendency we try to control everything. So if something goes wrong, we immediately put a rule on top of it or try to make it more complex. But sometimes we just have to say, let it go. If it doesn't happen again, keep running, do what you're good at, and only change the things that are really where you're not happy with or they're going in the wrong direction.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back, Championship Leadership Podcast. We got Cyriel Kortleven here from Belgium and way across the pond, as they like to say. So thanks for being here, Cyriel. Appreciate it.
Very happy to be here. So let's get into it.
Yeah, let's do this. All right. Well, first question I always ask is Championship Leadership's name podcast. What comes to mind for you when you hear championship leadership?
Yeah, for me, that would be somebody who dares to take a conscious decision to change his or her life to make it better. So for me, what's important is make it conscious, because you have a feeling that a lot of people, they're living their lives, but to be really honest, sometimes they are in a golden cage and they're not really happy. So I think if you can become aware of it and make a conscious decision to say, hey, I want to go in this direction or that direction, that would be, for me, a leader and becoming a champion.
Well, yeah, that's no surprise knowing what it is that you do. So if you could, for the listener that's not as familiar with you, just share a little bit of your story and the path that you've been on and the journey in life that you've taken that's got you where you are today, and what is it today that you're up to?
Yeah, perfect. So, I go already 25 years back. I studied economics. And at that moment, to be really honest, I didn't really have an idea what I wanted to do with life. So at one moment, I got into a kind of a traineeship. And one of the courses that we got was on the topic of creativity. And creativity was, for me, very broad. It was art. I didn't know that you could use creativity also in a more business environment.
Yeah.
So I checked, is there a company doing something in that domain? And I found one in Belgium, and they were doing everything that they did was giving training in creativity, creative thinking, brainstorming sessions. I worked for them for 4 or 5 years, and then I started to start my own business. I gave a lot of training in creativity, facilitate a lot of brainstorming sessions. And the last 5, 6 years, it's mainly working as a speaker. So I speak on the topic of the change mindset. Already spoke in 35 countries. And I love to bring a simple story. So I call myself a simplifier. I'm not even sure if it is an English word, but I guess everybody understands it. I believe that some simple things can already have a big impact in life. So I hope that I can share a few simple insights with listeners.
Yeah, I think so. That would be great, because I think we have a tendency to try to make things too complex, right? Or maybe I say this a lot, like if you're getting, a certain result by kind of sticking to the basics or keeping things simple, then it's got to be better if you make it more complex, right?
Yes.
And typically not. So
It's true. We human beings, we have a tendency we try to control everything. So if something goes wrong, we immediately put a rule on top of it or try to make it more complex. But sometimes we just have to say, let it go. If it doesn't happen again, keep running, do what you're good at, and only change the things that are really where you're not happy with or they're going in the wrong direction.
Yeah. Well, when you talk about change, I don't know, that kind of seems pretty broad, right? So what specifically are you, when you talk about the change mindset, like what are you helping people with?
For me, indeed, it is a big container word, change. It's like creativity or innovation or leadership. You can go in so many directions. So my focus is really on the mindset of people, because I absolutely believe if you want to change something, or you're a leader in an organization or leader of a sports team, it starts with the mindset of the individuals. If you can help them to make change a little bit more simple, chances are quite big that they will go along. You have less resistance, and it will be a little bit easier to realize the results that you want to achieve. So I mainly focus on the mindset, and my story is also a very simple story with a few, I would say 3 pillars that help people to make change a little bit easier.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. What's who have been maybe some mentors, coaches, leaders in your life that have helped you to develop your change mindset? And what are some of the characteristics from those individuals that really stand out?
Yeah, for me, I'm not sure if those people are well known or they're not really famous, but I have several authors, and I think one of the things that made them special was that they gave me a simple message. So it's one thing that you could keep in mind. One of the authors that I really liked is James Clear. Maybe you know his book from Atomic Habits.
Yep.
If you want to change some behavior, he has some very simple concepts in there. Become every day 1% better. Okay, right. That makes sense. That's I can put my goals that I have, if I connect it to the 1%, what should I do today to do something different? So I have a feeling that the mentors that I have, and I have some favorite speakers. Again, I don't think the names are, you don't know them, but they're really working on a global scale. They work with large audiences. And if they analyze the speeches that they are giving, again, it's a very simple speech, one main big message. And it's not easy. I'm now working as a speaker, and I can imagine same for you, because you also deliver speeches. I can probably, we can talk days, weeks about that topic, but to condense it in 45 minutes or 30 minutes, that's the hard part. So if you can take something complex or something big and making it so small and simple that people can actually do something with it, those are the heroes for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love that. What is the vision for you? Like, what is, what's I think championship leaders that have an incredible vision and they have courage to take action. So what's the vision for you? You've done over 1,000 talks, and over 33 or 35 countries now, I think you said, which is amazing. And so obviously you have a vision, and what is that? I would love to hear it. And what's the impact you want to make from that?
Yeah, perfect. So for me, it would indeed be one of the taglines that popped up, I think only 2 or 3 years ago, is making change simple. So what I try to do, because indeed change is such a big and complex process, what can you do to make it a little bit easier for people? So if you can spread that message, and at this moment, my role is as a speaker, I want to reach out to a lot of people and share that message. And I love to travel. So if I can do it with an international audience, that's brilliant. One of the impact that I want to make is, one thing is, if I can see the sparkle in a few people in the audience, if there is something changing, sometimes you just feel that they get it, and you know that they are going to take action and do something, because that's a crucial thing. I can share my story, I can inspire a lot of people, but if they're not really doing something with it, what is it worth? So for example, just let me give you one example that shows that I'm making impact. One of the examples, or one of the pillars that I say, is suspend your judgment. If we can already suspend our judgment, that will help to take away some resistance. So a lot of people, if you come up with a new idea or you have a certain dream, they immediately go to, yes, but I don't have any money. Yes, but I've already tried it. Yes, but, and they come up with a lot of excuses. And a lot of times there is some truth in there. A lot of times we don't have the time or we don't have the money, but that doesn't mean that we can't take any action. So one of the exercises that I do is I ask people to go for 1 minute into the yes but, and then 1 minute into the yes and. What you will notice, it's a totally different energy that's happening just by changing one word. And one of the things I've created, you know, a lot of listeners can't see it, but it created some coasters with a red side and a green side. On the red side, you see all kind of idea killers, green side boosters. And one of the things that happened to me, I delivered a speech in, I think it was in Melbourne in Australia. And I think it was 2 years later that I was back at the same conference, and one guy came to me and he said, "Hey, wait a minute, you're that Belgian guy." And he started to look in his pockets, and suddenly out of his pockets, he still had the beer coaster from 2 years ago. And he said, "Cyriel, every week I've used it." So I gave him a new one. But that's for me, having impact, that people are using your tools, that people are going in certain direction and taking actions, because I think that's also what you're spreading. We can talk a lot about things, but you have to do it if you really want to be a champion. Mindset of thinking big is a big one, but also taking the small actions. It's that combination that works, I guess.
100%. Yeah, that's a pretty cool story too. That had to be pretty cool to see him pull that together. And I love it. Yeah. So if you're watching this, obviously you'll see, but if you're not, it's good. A coaster, like a cardboard coaster that could be, I think that'd be very useful to have just on your desk, right? And just, you know, because we all, I mean, those thoughts come up daily for everyone.
Yes. Yes, and it happens a lot of times. If people want, they can have a look. It's called ideakillers.net. There you can download several languages.
Okay, yeah, perfect.
And I think it helps also in conversations. You know, if you're stuck, you know, with your own conversations, that's already one. But also with colleagues, if you want to convince your colleagues or team members to do something, this might help to open up the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. What do you have a book?
Yeah. It's a book, by the way. I call it a bookazine. Again, I'm not sure.
It's what?
Sometimes I'm making up a lot of words. It's a book with the layout of a magazine.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That's a bookazine. I like that. That's awesome.
Yeah. A lot of books are, I think, sometimes a little bit boring. They only have words, and they talk about change. So what I'm trying to do is indeed
check that out for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Make it a bit more also fun for people. It's all small parts that can inspire you to.
I love it. That's original. The bookazine. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got to check that out. So again, if you're not watching, maybe come to the YouTube channel and check it out. But very cool. A lot of illustrations, look like a kind of a magazine and a book in one. So very cool. Where can we find that? Your website?
Yeah, if you go to my website, that's probably the easiest way. I'll share my website, and there you can find.
We'll get that linked up for him. Is that just your name.com or?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So and we'll get that linked up. Very cool. What's a moment for you in your life where, you know, crossroads, critical moment, and, you know, trying to decide which way to go? And you did choose the path that you did, which has you where you are today, but had you not, be in a very different place. I just love this question, because I think, you know, the listener right now is probably in that situation, trying to figure out which way to go for themselves. So
yes,
you got a moment you could share?
Absolutely. And sometimes what's quite interesting is that you only notice that moment a few years later.
Yeah, right. Yeah, absolutely.
When it happened. Yeah, but a lot of times it is indeed a life-changing moment. For me, it happened when I was in the traineeship. So that's already 25 years ago. And we got a training on creativity. And one of the things that I've learned, and probably that's still my biggest lesson, what I learned from the whole creative thinking innovation space, is that for almost everything that we're doing, there is an alternative. Yeah. So a lot of the habits that we're doing right now, where we think this is reality, absolutely, you know, if you say, Cyriel, I can't jump to the moon, okay, you're right. But for almost everything else, if you want to go in a certain direction, or you want to travel more, or you want to live a healthier life, maybe you feel that you're stuck, but if you take some effort and maybe you also look with some different eyes to the world, you will find that there is an alternative. Maybe it costs money, maybe you have to put some effort in there and time, but don't say that things are not possible. You know, you have that, I think it's from, you have a quote from Cassius Clay, the impossible is only temporary.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I really like, because it's true. I think all of us, you know, take the last 2.5 years with the whole pandemic. Suddenly the pandemic was there and a lot of things were not possible anymore.
Yeah,
you couldn't visit clients. And what I find quite interesting what happened, and that also shows that we human beings, we can do amazing things, is that when a crisis or a situation like that happens, quite quickly we're able to turn. So I had a feeling that within a week, suddenly people were working from home, we were having online meetings, we were doing things in a different way. So suddenly things that were impossible, because I had been talking to several leaders and managers who were saying, yeah, we want to work more. You know, people want to work from home, but it's not possible. IT is not ready. People are not ready. We don't have budgets. Yeah. But then the pandemic happened and a week later, it was there. So for me,
right.
Knowing that there is always an alternative, that gives me so much freedom, and that has put me on the path of exploring creativity, going in that direction, becoming self-employed, being a trainer, noticing that I love to work with larger groups. And now, I'm working as a speaker and really living a dream, also with the obstacles. Sometimes people think that living a dream is only happy, happy, happy. No, you still have to do the work. You still have to show up every day. But at least you're doing things that you really like. And I have to say, 90% of my days, I am very happy with what I'm doing.
Yeah, absolutely. When the pandemic did come, and obviously as a speaker, there's a lot of change that I imagine you saw. And so how did you use your own tools to navigate through those times as a speaker?
Yeah, so one thing that I did, what I saw is that a lot of my colleagues, it was a kind of a panic situation. We need to go online and we need online training and we need coaching. And they were changing almost their whole business. And for some people, it worked. What I did at that moment, I think the first month, it was more, okay, I'm going to wait. It sounds like that I wasn't doing anything, but I was looking what's happening, and I didn't want to take immediately an action that wouldn't fit me, because to be really honest, I'm like a lot of people, I love to interact with human beings, and doing it online, it is different. So I waited for a month, and then I had a feeling, okay, what's one of my strengths? I talk about the change mindset. Where can I bring a change? And one of the things that I love to do is work quite interactive with my audience. So what I've done, I sat down and I came up with 21 and a half ways to create more interaction online. You know, the half is of course a little bit, you know, a marketing trick. Right. But it came up with all kind of very small exercise that people could do to make an online session more attractive. So I called it No More Boring Online Sessions. And I gave them all kind of little tricks. How can you use the video? One of the things, for example, that I did, most of the time people share their slides, but what I've done, I printed all my slides and I used my slides, you know, next to my head, and it made it quite fun. It gave a different kind of energy. So that was one of the things that I did during the pandemic, and it worked quite well. So also most of my, I would say 95% of all the presentations that I did were online. Revenue wise, it was quite okay, but to be really honest, I found it a bit boring. So I'm very happy to have the physical meetings again.
Yeah, absolutely. Nothing like getting back in person for sure. So
yes.
Well, that's very cool. Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. And I was just curious to hear. What are a couple ways we start to wrap this up that, you know, if somebody's looking, the listener right now, he or she's looking to make change in their life and have struggled or have consistently found themselves feeling like they're letting themselves down because they can never break through or create that
Yeah.
change that they want. What are one or two things that you
Yeah,
could give to them to apply?
maybe you can, and I can share the 3 short tips that are really practical. So I call it the change mindset for me is yes and act. What would be the yes would be for me, suspend your judgment. So that's give yourself, 3 minutes of time. What would happen if you can't say yes, but you only can say yes and. So you have a dream and only say yes and, see what's possible. So that could be one element already to become more conscious about your, what I call idea killers. A second thing, what might be interesting is maybe sometimes we have to put on different glasses or a different hat. So if you're stuck, how would somebody else solve it? How would your hero solve it? How would your neighbor solve it? How would, a family member, what would he or she do if that person would be in your situation? And be open, again, suspend your judgment and see what pops up. A lot of times, a challenge that you're having, somebody else already has solved it. So what can we learn from that? And maybe a last tip that I would say is give it a try. I absolutely believe in having big dreams. So dare to have guts and go for a big dream. But if it comes to action, what I would say, take a nano action. And what's a nano action? You only have 1 hour and you have $10. That's it. Small amount of money, small amount of time. So instead of sitting down and thinking through what would be the best plan and working on it for weeks sometimes, what's one small action that you can take right now? Maybe you call a friend or you look something up on the internet to bring you one step further. And maybe it works, then we call it success, then you take a next step. But if it's not working, you probably you learned more than the person who's still thinking theoretically what could be possible, because at least you tried something and hey, this direction is maybe not the right direction. So we have to go in a different direction.
Yeah.
I think if you apply these things, they're very small, it will help you to make change a bit smaller.
Yeah,
and
no,
a bit
I love
easier.
that. Yeah, absolutely. Very practical too. So thank you. What before we wrap this up, so the website for you is the best place to follow you and everything you're up to?
Yeah, it's my name, cyrielkortleven.com. Maybe the fun fact for the people, indeed, the English speaking people, if you translate my name, Kortleven, in English, Kort means short and Leven means life. So my name would be Cyriel Short Life. So if you look for cyrielshortlife.com, you also find my website.
Oh, you do? All right. I love it. Cyriel's spelt, by the way, Cyriel. Short Life. I love it. Well, I appreciate you, Cyriel, for being here. And this has been a really fun conversation. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thanks for having me as a guest, and good luck for all the listeners and also you with your podcast.
Yeah, thank you. And and as you listen right now, don't go anywhere. If you've enjoyed this conversation, stay right here for more incredible guests and conversations coming up next. Have a great day, Cyriel.
Great. Brilliant.